While many of us went abroad thinking that we will have the time of our lives, we were surprised to find that there's this thing called depression in those wintry countries. And today I would like to speak about why a lot of African people that go overseas suffer from depression. And also just talk about what to expect, the glamorization of going overseas, the loneliness, the cost of living, all the bits and ins and outs that come with you starting overseas, especially coming from an African country. So what makes us a bit unique on this situation, because we're not the first people to ever come overseas, all that kind of stuff, but the difference is when our parents were going overseas, they normally went with their wives and husbands. Okay, they didn't just go by themselves, which now there's a huge number of African youth going abroad by themselves, either for school, either for work, either for marriage, all that kind of stuff. In my situation, that's the reason why I came to France, because the love of my life lives here, so that's why I'm here basically. But for many of the African people that I'm talking about went overseas for school. They're the first person to go to college, and they found a scholarship to go overseas. They found an opportunity, a job to work overseas, different things like that, and they didn't get to go with their spouses. They're not married, they just living their lives. So because this is already a person that has probably come out of high school, they're in the early 20s, you are still finding yourself and your identity, and unfortunately you are finding yourself at a place where no one looks like you, where no one speaks your language. So you're already confused, because you would have probably been confused back at home, but it's almost triple now that you're by yourself. So basically adapting is really difficult. In fact, there's an article that says studies conducted recently have shown expatriates may be at risk of mental health problems. This most often manifests in the form of expat depression. However, cases of stress, anxiety, and isolation among the expatriate community are also on the rise. Pre-2020, this was often most linked to the stress of international moving and the culture shock of living in a new country, coupled with the high pressure of expat role. Over the last few years, expats have had to deal with a lot of added uncertainty, from facing the global pandemic with long periods of social isolation away from home to now having to navigate life abroad during a cost of living crisis. All of these factors add to a daily stressor faced by expats. So if you are someone that's living abroad and you are feeling depressed, you're feeling weird, you're not feeling yourself, it is expat depression. It is possible. It happens to anyone. Doesn't matter how confident or how self-assured that you are, it happens, and you are not alone, and you are about to be heard. Okay, glamorization of living abroad. As much as the unknown is feared, the unknown is also extremely wanted by a lot of people. Going somewhere when none of the people you live with or know have ever been, being the first to do that, there's this sense of pride that goes into that. I remember growing up, there was an uncle that was just said lived in the United States. I don't know how his face looks like. All I know is that he's rich and he lives in the United States. And I told myself that when I grow up, I want to live in New York as he did. Okay, I want to go there and I want to be rich and send people money back home and call people. When he called, like everybody would gather around like, he has called. That is how I saw America. And now, because a lot of people are talking about the experiences online of how the cost of living actually is in New York, I don't think it's a place that I want to actually live. I think I want to visit one day, but not to actually live, because now I know firsthand from people that have been there, have lived there, that it's not as it seems online. And there was also a rise. I remember this trend where everyone's just, I'm just gonna pick my life up and go overseas, and everyone's just doing that. I even made a video about that, like just picking my life and going overseas, and just starting over, refreshing, and whatever country I'm gonna go in is like less toxic than my old country, because everyone always looks down on their country and be like, yeah, but I'm gonna go there and it's so much better, I'm gonna live America and go to Europe in the French countryside. But once you've arrived, depression comes knocking on the door because of how isolating it actually is. In fact, when I think of the glamorization of living overseas, I always think of this video. I can definitely relate to that because I actually worked in a hotel, and going back to Zimbabwe, I was seen as, oh, she has come back, she is from overseas, all that kind of stuff, where it's like, I'm cleaning people's toilets over here. Loneliness. The loneliness, in fact, let's just watch her video for a moment.
Sorry guys, askisini, but can those of us who are living or working outside of our birth countries just admit, Uguti, this whole living abroad thing is hard? No. I am so sorry. I feel like sihambile and we have glamorized this whole living overseas or working overseas, and we are not telling abantu the actual truths of just some of the difficulties of living in a country that, one, is not yours, a country whereby culture is different, the language is different, the way everything happens is different, the culture shocks are different. But no, siyathanda poster when you are now on a flight or you are now on a gupi, because you now have the financial to be able to go and do those nice things. Mara as let me tell you guys some of the things that a lot of these wonderful I work abroad and I live overseas do not tell you. Number one, the loneliness. If you have never experienced loneliness and literally feeling even more alone, when you pack up your life and you pack up everything you know, from your friends to your family to even checkers, guys, even the ladies abakshalama plastic, you will miss that. It gets so lonely that even when you're outside, it is still lonely, especially if you're a person of color who is living in Europe, because guess what? It's not too good to be funa everywhere. So it's Zungu.
I could feel it in her heart, the loneliness that she's talking about. I know it. And it's the only loneliness you can truly understand if you also live abroad. This is the loneliness where it's like, you are not alone. You are isolated. You are in isolation. Okay? It is this deep loneliness and longness to be around people that you know, because you can make friends over here, you can have some sort of life here, but because you don't have people that know you as an African, as whatever identity you form as, you feel alone because you're not seen. There's a difference between having a bunch of people that don't know you, but know the surface version of you, the one that you are making up to try and fit in. And there are people that, and then there is having a few people that know who you are without any of that on. So you basically come overseas, you have left your friends, you've left your family, you've probably left your religion if you weren't that serious about it. You've left everything that you've ever known to be true, and you've come to this society which is just the complete opposite of that. So the loneliness, it gets to you. There are those days where you cry by yourself because you just don't know what to do. The only person you can speak to is God. Really, I've had those days where I would just cry, and it's something that even my husband could understand, because it's like, but you've met this person, and I'm like, yeah, but if you live overseas, I think you get the loneliness that I'm talking about. You are made to be a child that is seen but not heard. I was speaking to my friend about this on the phone, and I was telling her that when you come overseas, you're basically a child again, and what I mean by that is that you're learning everything all over again, as if you don't know anything. because I remember being in the shop, and then this lady had seen my husband and I were having a conversation, and then she asked my husband if I can read, and I remember finding that so offensive. Like, what do you mean, can I read? I'm in my 20s. I know how to read. But then I was like, oh, she means French. Can I read French? So it almost, like, the way I read, you think a toddler is reading, so it's almost like you're really starting over your life, where your inputs in conversations are not as as impactful as they probably would have been, so it's like no one really gets to know you, and that makes you lonely. And as an expat or foreigner, whatever you want to call it, wherever we're coming from, there was always a third place. I don't know if you guys know the third place theory. A third place theory, popularized by sociologist Ray Oldenburg, offers a refreshing perspective on the importance of communal spaces beyond the traditional realms of residence and employment. As an average person everywhere in the world, you have a workplace if you have a job, and you have your home. Those are the two places that you interact with people. And then usually you have a third place, it being a club, a soccer club. I don't know anything about soccer. It being a church, it being the club, wherever you are, everyone has a third place. But when you move overseas, you're now in this different place. You have probably come because of a job. You have a job, right? Or you have a school, right? Let's pretend that's your job. So you have that, and then you have your home. Your home, you're by yourself because you came by yourself. You by yourself. At school or at work, you're there to learn. No one's really there to make any friends. You're there to do what you need to do to get money and then go home. There's no third place for you to meet other people, which makes it even much difficult to socialize and have a life there and begin something there. We don't have a third place. Of where my third place is where I made most of my friends. My third place was church. I love church. I don't know about y'all, but church in Africa, that is where I made most of my friends. Even some things that I used to, not only my other third place was outside my house. I remember my friends and I from my street would just sit by my house gate, and that's our third place, I guess. Would sit there and just talk nonsense, look at people, that's that. Of which here, the culture is definitely different. You can have a third place, but you are still isolated because the people there are there for a specific reason, then they go home. You know what I'm saying? It's more like, yeah, let my third place be this gym or this club. You meet people there, but they're there to do that sport and go back home to their actual friends. Like friendships even work differently in these places where you find a lot of expats or foreigners making friends with other foreigners and expats. You're not really making friends with the locals. Or maybe that's just my case, but that's what I see most of the time. There's also the small interactions that you could casually have with people from your own home country. For example, I'm from Zimbabwe, right? And when I am back home, if I'm to go to the town, I will walk by my street and there are vendors, there are people that I know, my neighbors, right? I would greet them, they would greet me, we'll ask, how's your mom, all that kind of stuff. I will wait for a taxi, and while I'm waiting for it, there will come someone that I know from my street and we'll speak on the way to town. Once I arrive in town, I will walk around, probably be asked to buy something by someone, go into a supermarket, talk to someone right there while I'm buying something. They'll ask me where I'm from because they can probably hear my accent when I'm speaking my home language, that yeah, you from here, but like your Shona is kind of weird, so they'll talk to me about that as well. Do you see how many interactions I've had? Whereas over here in France, I can go an entire day going to different places and not interact with anybody. That is the complete difference. That is where the isolation becomes super real, where it's like, damn, those are the little things that contribute to the isolation and the loneliness that comes to being overseas as an African. A good example that I can make of this is this video.
She even asked me for the time.
No way.
Way.
I could resonate with that, even though that's a Black American context where an old lady calls you baby, like, come here, baby, you know. The same thing could happen in Zimbabwe, where an old random lady can be like, mwanangu, uyapani mwanangu. That means come here. I guess you could say baby as well, you know, of where, you know, you are taken care of, you know, you are not by yourself. And so I was also saying to my friend that when, you know, simple things as me coming to France, I'll go at the airport, right? Back in Zimbabwe, I'll go at the airport, or South Africa. Go at the airport, and my mom could tell a lady that works there, take care of my child, and she'll be boarding your plane. Something like that, you know, as I'll be scanning my tickets, and she'll be like, take care of her, we'll have a nice chat, you know, and I'll feel like someone is watching out for me. Of where here, it's more like you are 18, you're above 18, you're an adult, okay? No one is looking out for you. No one's gonna be like, that's someone's child. You know what I'm saying? You are seen as a complete adult, which is such a strange thing to actualize, because when I first came to France, I was 19 years old, not exactly on the dot. I came on my birthday. I still felt like a kid. I was just out of high school, you know. I still felt like a kid, but everybody was looking at me like a full-grown adult. Whereas if I was back in Africa, you know, and so I was like, hey, Africa is a continent. Like, I know, like, dude, we have shared experiences. But anyway, just had to call out that person before they start typing. But anyway, so those are the small interactions that we have, you know, those aunties, everyone, aunties and this and this and that are going to talk to you when you're in Africa. But like, when you have reached over here, you're on your own. Literally, you are on your own. Oh my gosh, am I scaring you guys? I hope I'm actually making things better because I feel like I'm speaking like I'm scaring y'all. The language barrier. Now, a lot of countries in Africa speak English. So cheers to you if you decided to go to Australia or like Canada or like the UK. Cheers. That's good for you. I'm jealous of you. But for some of us who came to countries where English is not the first language, the language barrier can definitely be one of those reasons that cause you to have depression, because you are not being understood, okay? And this is not only to young people, but like older generations of immigrants where they can't go to doctors because they are not comfortable explaining how they feel, where they go undiagnosed because they don't know how to communicate, you know, certain things, and you are just not understood. And especially as I'm speaking about Africans, people of color, where it's even harder when you don't speak the language or you are struggling to speak the language, because you are already not being able to speak the language is not seen as cute. It's seen as you are not educated, you don't know what you're doing, you know. But like when, you know, the American passport comes in, you know, you are there's, you know, they are romanticized Americans as well, so it's like it's better for them in a sense, but probably not for Black Americans. I don't know, unless they like flash their passport. I'm sure, yeah, it's a bit difficult for them as well. This also leads to a lot of people having friends that are also expats. Like all the friends that I have in France, the two of them they are not French. You know, I tried making a French friend, and as I said about the third place theory, where I tried to make friends at church, and the girl was like talking to me, asking how I'm doing making friends, you know, in a way of like, we're not friends, but like, how are you getting along with other people, you know? She really made it clear that I'm not her friend. You know, she also made sure that she also didn't like message me or anything like that. Like, it was always one-sided, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm not. So that's why I was like, okay. And there's also just the cultural differences of where a lot of people in Europe, or as I know, in France and maybe Italy, they already have their group of friends as they're growing up, so they're not really looking to make new friends as they have already grown up. Like, I look at my husband, he has friends he has been with since he was like 5 years old. They are still friends, they are still good friends, you know. So I asked him, when last did you make a new friend? Because I was telling him about this, like how difficult it is for me to find friends, and he was like, what, you know? I was like, have you made a recent friend? And he said no, he has not made a new friends for years, literally. So you can imagine how difficult it is to put myself in a group where they've known each other since they were 5. The only easier way is to make friends with other people that speak at least English with you, people that are also making new friends right now. So that becomes difficult. And in general, expressing yourself, finding a job, expressing what you feel, because a lot of people that are overseas, I'm sure you've been told that you're quiet, like, oh, you're so quiet, but like, you know, you are loud as hell, but you can't really express yourself because it's another language. You know, you can't really show people. I'm making batch videos, so this is like my second video that I'm making, and like my throat is done, so I need like water. I should have put milk. Like, I drink milk for fun. That's nice. So that's definitely something. Language barrier is definitely difficult to integrate with the new culture when you don't speak the language. So yeah, but don't let that stop you, because some people are like, yeah, don't go to a country if you don't speak a language. Like, don't let that stop you. You can always learn when you're there. Like, I never understood that logic. Like someone be like, can I come to this? And someone be like, no, don't. Like, where else are you supposed to learn the language? It's best to learn the language in the country, because you will learn everything on Duolingo. When you come to the actual country, it's completely different. That's what I did. I only learned a little bit of French. I was here asking people, comment allez-vous, what is that? No one says that here. It was just ça va, you know, that's it. And when I came here, when someone said that to me, I was like, what, you know, the actual language. I think this is everywhere. You know, you learn, I am good, how are you, good morning, and you go to America and they'll be like, sup dude, I don't know what they say, but like, it'll probably be not good morning, how are you, to like an average person. You could just say hello. You know, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but like, language, the best way to learn a language is to be in that country, be amongst the people, learn. You can learn. I'm not saying don't go to school and learn a language, but I'm just saying it's easier. Like, it's definitely been easier for me now that I've been social and going out, going to my local church. You know, now that I have made a friend that actually speaks French. I've been knowing more places. I have been learning more of how French people live than just being on Duolingo and like learning online. The best way is to learn, I guess, for me. We are getting off topic here. Rent is high. I love how like my energy at the beginning of a statement is different than like, okay, anyway, rent is high. It is difficult for us to make a living here overseas, and that is leading most of us into depression. Luxuries that we have back home are definitely not available here. Taking an Uber here is a luxury. Back at home, anyone can take an Uber and it is affordable, but over here you would have to be mad rich to take an Uber. In fact, my friend was saying that having a swimming pool in Germany, having a house in Germany, you are rich. I should not swear. You are rich, okay? But over back home, cool, you have a house, okay, and most people live, I don't know what African country that you come in, but most people have houses. They don't live in apartments. They have houses. Most people have a house. And most people build a house. They don't really buy a house. Everyone like builds a house. I guess where I'm from, you know, everyone's building a house. So there's like these simple luxuries that we might have taken for granted, that over here it is wow. And the people back home don't understand. They be asking for money. They don't understand the cost of living here, because when you send them that 50 euros, they can buy groceries, you know, but here you can't buy anything with that 50 euros. It's nothing over here. So it almost makes a confusion where there's like a miscommunication to how life actually is. And and also the cost of living, especially during this time that a lot of us young people are coming overseas. We've come at a really bad time, where the cost of living is higher, but like the wages have stayed the same. So it's like you have all these bills and the money that you're getting do not mix. You do not have time for luxuries. You do not have the money for simple luxuries that you could probably have. And by luxuries, I mean getting your hair done. I did my own hair because I cannot afford to pay someone 200 euros for my hair to be done. Obviously including like hair. I know it's much more expensive. Like in America, I hear those prices, they are crazy. Made a video about it, go check it out. But that's one of the things that is making us quite, flabbergasted, because you come here expecting, to have it all together, all that kind of stuff, but you are hardly making ends meet. And for some of us, we are the first to go to another country, and you're being expected to pay a lot of people back home, pay for them to actually live, and they depending on you. So you have the stress of what's happening back home, you have what's actually happening in the country, you have you are black as well, you're being discriminated, at your workplace, you are finding it difficult to advance, and the job that you have as well does not pay well, and you finding a job in the corporate that you're trying to get, the discrimination, all that kind of stuff, it all gets to be quite a lot. And sometimes our parents don't understand, I see some people. I said this girl actually said that, I could never go to the UK and clean old people and help old people, that type of job that a lot of people are getting, to go to the United Kingdom to be a healthcare worker, So I was like, I could never, ew. I was like, what? Are you crazy? How could you have such a small mind? How could you, everyone starts you can start from the bottom, and those jobs are respectable jobs. And that's the thing, sometimes people that are back home will look at what you do and be like, what are you doing, and that's where the whole glamorization comes from, because you'll be working a job like that, but online you will present as if you're working this high-end job, and then making other people come and be like, oh wait, it's actually not as it actually is. It's actually a whole thing. And speaking of the cost of living, I was getting off topic there. I was speaking to another friend in the UK about how it was difficult for him to get a car, because in South Africa or in Zimbabwe, you can drive a car and not have insurance, or you can do that. Maybe I'm wrong, but we have I know people, I think that's possible, but yeah, you don't have to have insurance. You can drive a car, you can get a car and not have insurance. It happens. But over here they are much more stricter. You need to have insurance. You can't drive without insurance, you can't drive a car. So it's those type of things, these hidden insurances, all these little bills that add up that you will probably not have back home, which just makes life so much harder. And for the university students, how harder it is, they would have thought of a degree back home, and they'll see over here this degree is not going to give me a job. Those type of pressures happen, where it's I'm in the wrong degree, but you can't drop out, because back home they're using all their last pennies to pay for your school fees. All that really just makes life more difficult. And one thing that was a definite culture shock for me when I came here is how many people live in debt. Everything here is debt. You see people driving nice cars, living in nice things, all that, but it's all debt. It's all money they don't have. It's they cannot afford to buy things. Everything is credit. I never understood that, because back home, when I was working back home, I never even thought of a credit card. Never crossed my mind. Every time debit card. Even now I have a debit card. A credit, especially back home, you build a house, you don't buy it and then pay mortgage. That's not how we do things. I'm obviously speaking in general for that person that's gonna be yeah, but it's not like that. It's okay. There is an exception and then there's a rule. Keep your composure. Okay. But basically, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people overseas are living in debt, and we are not used to that. We're not used to that. So that is definitely an added stress, living knowing that you can't afford the life that you're living, always having to pay back somebody. That is actually quite a stressful thing to go through. It's not fun at all. And also just the keeping up of appearance of someone that's living overseas and having your stuff together and having things that you're expected to have. That is honestly, wow. I've had the pressure of that where I'm like, I'm in France, why am I not posting myself in Paris? But it's expensive to go to Paris for me. The hotels, I don't have any family there, okay? All those things, the pressure online, some of that stuff gets to you, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Because I have other people that are living in France, but they have all this nice life. Like, where is this nice life? I also want this nice life, but I don't have it, But yeah, that's the thing. Jerry's final thoughts. I should definitely call it that. Jerry's final thoughts. Okay. I wanted to speak about Ubuntu, which is an African philosophy of, the quote is Ubuntu Ngubuntu Gabantu. A person is a person because of other people. Of which that's us. That's African. That's collectivism. Togetherness of where over here on the other side of the world, it is individualistic. Over here, you do things by yourself. You care for your own family. You don't know who your neighbor is. It is you and you alone. So bringing an African child coming from a collectivism environment, putting them here where they're isolated, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So, and there's a whole vitamin D thing about how we literally get depressed because we lack a vitamin D. Now it's winter. We can go days without seeing the sun. We are not used to that. Therefore, that really does make us even less motivated, all that kind of stuff. And my friend actually suggested, she's gonna be a nurse, she said that you need to take your vitamin D. I'm actually gonna start doing that, and I don't know why I never thought of that, but take your vitamin D. Okay, I'm definitely gonna buy some vitamin D and take that. I think my mood is gonna be better. But yeah. So speaking about Ubuntu, we as African people, or if you're watching this, African, but you are in a similar situation, we need to create our own Ubuntu. We need to create our own communities. And what I mean by that is that I'm in France, you can be in Belgium, you can be wherever you are in China, all that kind of stuff. You need to actively find people and create a community, your own community. Because that's one thing that I want to do. Honestly, I want to create my own community where I don't feel alone, because I know I can't survive as an African by myself. I cannot. I need a village. So I need to create a village for myself. Yeah, bon. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you like, so the thing is, I grew up in Zimbabwe until I was 8 years old and then moved to South Africa. So yeah, okay, I'm forgetting words now, like in Xhosa, like I'm actually forgetting. But in Ndebele ngiyakhuluma. Yeah, it's that, yeah, ngiyakhuluma. Yay! Anyway, ndinotaura. So I need to find, Zim people are hard to find in France. That's period. Point blank period. Zim people are hard to find in France. But like other African people that I've found, I'm cherishing them. There is that automatic togetherness that comes when you see your own people.
Sorry, excuse me. How can I get to the nearest bank from here?
Got an Esther back there. You just go down and to your left. You're gonna see an Esther back. But when you go to your left, then you see like there are two banks opposite. You can choose the one that's Erste and there's OTP Bank. So you just take anyone from your left or from right. Get me? Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, bro.
Sorry, what country are you from?
Nigeria.
Got a form accent, so we go drop this drink, Joe.
Those are gas compost. I did outside now. Those are gas compost.
Gas compost. You form English for me.
No vex. I don't
guy now.
No vex, bro.
Okay, now later now.
Hi everyone, the most exciting thing happened to me in Finland today. So after being in Finland for almost 3 months, this is the first time I actually made friends with another African. We met in a clothing store today, and she came up to me and greeted me, and we sparked a conversation almost immediately. We did the rest of our shopping together, and then I invited her back to our place and I made dinner for us. I made pap, cabbage and chicken, and we enjoyed that over dinner while sharing our experiences in Finland, as well as our shared African experiences. I had so much fun. The food was so good, not just because the food was good, but because of the company as well, and we enjoyed our time together. And this is just the food that we made: chicken, pap and cabbage. Pap is called ugali in Kenya, and yeah, this is rabera.
And that's one thing I admire about the Asian community. They will stick together wherever they are in the world. You will not just see one Asian person. No, they will have their family, they will have someone, from their own country or from their own community with them, of which I think that can help our community. We can see that as well. Like, hey, let's build a community. Let's do this and that. That's what I want to do before I have a kid here in France, because I can't imagine going through this alone. Like, I can't. I really can't. I really want to have a community before I can have a baby, because I feel like I would not be able to. I need some sisters. I need some sister. Yeah, I need that. So I'm going to have some websites in the description for people who are struggling with their mental health, and obviously websites that can cater to your country, like internationally, because I've also reached to that point where I was looking for websites. I tried to find what is it called, something help. I forgot what it's called. This online thing. Yeah, it didn't work for me. I don't trust it. But even having groups, I'm on a lot of Facebook groups of expats, and those groups really help a lot. They really do. You see that you're not the only person going through this. There are meetings that happen. There are gatherings that happen. So wherever you are, find a Facebook group of the people, of your people, and then find. It works. It's amazing. It can help you really get through a lot of things. You can also download Bumble BFF. I've met some great people from there. That way you can make a community of people. But anyway, you are not alone, and this is happening to a lot of people. And reach out, say your grievance. Even if it's anonymous message on Facebook, people will reply to you. Okay, people will help you. People try to give you answers. So wherever you are not alone. Reach out if you need to. And yeah, let's strive, because we had to make money. We had to strive. We had to take care of our families. And it's not just as simple as I'm depressed, I'm going to go home now. That's not possible for a lot of us, because we actually need to be here at work. But anyway, see you guys next time. Tell me what you guys think about this video, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this content. I am in the process of making a membership club so that you will see my videos beforehand, before they are posted to the public. You'll be in a group with me on Discord, so we can discuss these topics, and I can add you in. You can quote, all that kind of stuff, all this advantage and stuff like that. But yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.